I'll introduce myself a little bit to begin with. So as Tristan's mentioned, I am an ICHM alumni. So I graduated from the bachelor program in 2009. I completed placements working in Melbourne in housekeeping and working in the UK in food and beverage. And then I graduated and secured a role working at Grand Hyatt Melbourne in the Executive Club Lounge. From there I transitioned to front desk and then progressed up as a graduate. So I became team leader, front desk duty manager, responsible for 550 room hotel. I was night manager. I then moved into learning and development manager. And that was the role I held most recently in hotels before coming back to ICHM in my role now as ICD, or Industry and Career Development Manager. So I've been with ICHM for the last 6 years. I oversee the work integrated learning component of the course. So 50% of our bachelor course, it's 25% of our master's course, and it's a strong component in our other courses as well. It's what we've been known for, and it's what we've been doing so well for the last 30 years of ICHM's existence. So work integrated learning really sets us apart from a lot of other courses and a lot of other institutions and universities, because it's such an important part that contributes to students' growth, but then also their success as graduates, because they spend so much time in industry learning what it's like in industry and applying all of the skills that they've taken from our collaborative studios or our classrooms, and then they put it into practice in the industry setting as well. We see great success, and the people sitting up here with me are those success stories. And we'll really sort of talk to how work integrated learning, or how their placements have helped them grow and helped them achieve the different things that they've achieved. So I'm going to pass over to our graduates. So we've got 2 graduates here, and we have a student, a current student, Rachel. So we thought we'd have a bit of a snapshot of all sorts of different people, so that then you can get an idea as to perhaps the career pathway that our graduates have gone through, but then also so Rachel is the closest to the current experience, the current student experience. So you'll be able to get a sense from Rachel as to what things are like at ICHM now. But I'm going to start off by getting everybody to introduce themselves and their current role, the current position that they hold and where they're working. So I'll get Yen to start.
Hi guys, Yen, so I've graduated in 2011. So at the moment I'm running a couple of businesses on Kangaroo Island. Started off with Cactus Cafe, which is about 5 years ago when we started, and added the Seaview Motel, which is a new a motel accommodation on Kangaroo Island about 3 years ago. So just kind of running in between a couple of businesses, and we're looking at some other new projects on the horizon. So that's where I am. I'm based on Kangaroo Island.
Thank you, Yen.
That's me. Yeah.
Kuwar, I'll pass to you.
Hi guys, my name is Kuwar. I graduated in 2021. I'm working as a night manager at Crown Plaza Adelaide from the past year. Yeah.
Thank you, Kuwar. And Rachel.
Good afternoon. My name is Rachel. I'm currently third-year student. I'm in my final placement now. So I'm transitioned from Majestic Rivgan Hotel at GSA position, guest service agent position, to EOS West Sky City guest service agent next week. So I'm really looking forward to develop my career back there.
Thank you. So Yen, so now we're going to run a Q&A. So Yen, you're a real entrepreneur. Can you tell us a bit more about your businesses and that journey that you've been on in opening those businesses?
Yeah, so when I graduated from the bachelor degree from ICHM, so my first job was on Kangaroo Island, working at Southern Ocean Lodge. So some of you might know, unfortunately, there was a bushfire happened a few years back when the lodge was burned. So I spent about 5 years at the lodge. So I started off right from the bottom, doing some housekeeping, restaurants, to reception to basically assisting manager of the lodge. So I spent about 5 years there, kind of learned, a little bit of a kind of boutique-y kind of experience, the true kind of Australian experience we like to provide to our guests. And after that stint, I quickly came back to Adelaide. I thought, I want to go back, get back into the city for a little bit. Started to open up a restaurant for Maxwell Wines in McLaren Vale. So did that for a few years, kind of learned a little bit more of kind of startup of a business. And then basically after a couple of years, then when I kind of catch up with one of a chef that I used to work at the lodge, and we thought, might as well, we enjoyed the island, we loved the island, why not do something at the island? So we went back and started off as potentially it's always a pop-up restaurant basically for 6 months over the summer period, because the Kangaroo Island is very seasonal. And after 6 months, it was a really good success. Everyone really enjoyed it, the local enjoyed it, the community loves it. And we were told that, you guys should stay, keep doing what you do. And we continued. We kind of expanded from a four-person team to now we moved to a new venue. We've got about 16 staff in total all year round, opening basically every day. And in between of that transition, I kind of stepped aside and I actually took over a really old motel, which is situated in Kingscote as well, which is about 20 minutes away from the cafe. Being myself, having the hospitality background with the, I understand the accommodation sector, so took over a really old motel and started refurbishing it. So in front of the desk, you see some of, probably this is a bit of an end product at the moment. It's a 13-room motel. We call it a little boutique experience. Just kind of cater. We've got a night restaurant in there as well, which I oversee the chefs in there to kind of occupy that space. It's been running for about a year now. And just kind of step into a role now to kind of look at different projects, refurbishments, and potentially some new expansion of accommodations or restaurants. So yeah, it's very diversified kind of experience, I guess, as this course kind of allows us to do, and you just keep progressing and learning new things along the way. So that's the business. Yeah.
Kuwar, can you please give us an overview of your career pathway to date and where you completed your placements whilst you were at ICHM?
Yeah, so I started ICHM in 2018. My first placement was in Melbourne, Softail on Collins. I was working there as a food and beverage attendant in the breakfast. I think that's the easiest pathway to go into restaurants, to go with the breakfast. And so I worked for 7 months for my placement there, and my second placement was in Gold Coast. So this time it was with Crown Plaza, and I worked in F&B, so I worked in all different kind of departments, room service, in-room, the restaurant, breakfast, dinner, lunch, whatever I could get. So those were my 2 placements. After that, because of my placements, I was able to secure a position in Crown Plaza Adelaide in the pre-opening team. Luckily, my operations manager from Crown Plaza Gold Coast and the duty manager moved here for the pre-opening, and then I got a bit lucky with that. And then I started as concierge in front office, and I just worked my way up in a year to become the night manager.
Big achievement. Yeah. Really great achievement. Thank you. Rachel, you're a current student of ICHM, as we know. Where did you complete your placements so far, and how have they helped you get to where you are now?
Right. So my first placement is in Hampton Island in Queensland, such a paradise there. I worked as food and beverage attendants at Sales Restaurant, which is a casual, mid-casual dining restaurant. But then nearly at the end of my placement, I was transferred to work at Beach Pavilion, which is in Qualia, the 6 stars hotels. It's different service there. It's a fine dining, which gave me exposure to how fine dining ethics going, and I really learned more compared to what in the casual restaurant going. On my second placement, I do it at Majestic Reef Garden Hotel in guest service agent. Give me new exposure into front desk, how the new positions going and a different responsibility. Also, those placements just not apply theory that I've learned at ICHM to the actual realities, but also it's great foundation for me to develop soft skills into the industry such as communication skill, customer service, also the cultural awareness, which is kind of academic word, but basically it's give you more understand about different people in different background cultures, different experience levels, so give you easier to adapt to the environment. So that's what I've learned from my placement ads.
Wonderful, thank you, Rachel. Some of the properties that the students are talking about, well, graduates, sorry, are talking about are really high-end properties. So Southern Ocean Lodge, Qualia, these are properties that are thousands of dollars a night to stay, so about $2,000 to stay per night, all-inclusive sort of properties, really incredible experiences. So to be able to complete placements or to work there as a graduate is really quite an achievement, because really different skill set involved in those sorts of properties. Personalising the guest experience is very important. So, Kuwar, why did you choose ICHM?
Oh,
It was a while ago, but...
yeah. So my sister was in Adelaide, and that's the reason I didn't want to come to Adelaide. But so I went to one of these agents, and I wanted to do hospitality. That's what my dad has done all his life as well. So that's the only thing I knew. So I went there, and they said, "Oh, there's a really nice school in Adelaide." I think the thing that sold me was the placements. So I don't have to study all year, only 6 months, and 6 months I can work and I'll get paid for it. Wow. So I think, yeah, that was the main deciding factor for me to choose ICHM, the placement, the industry placements. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's okay.
I'm going to throw it to Rachel, because that's a really great leeway. Rachel, so studying for 6 months, as Kuwar has said, can be quite intensive. It's 8 subjects in 6 months, over 21 weeks. What's that experience like as a student? How did you find it?
I believe that we all confirm it's intense.
Very intense.
Well, especially at nearly the end of the semester, it's all come to like 3 or 4 assignment come at 1 week or 1 day. So we have to really time management skill that. It's not about like plan ahead, how the project going or how the team working is doing, but also it's connect with the lectures or asking for support from the teaching learning team. So they really helpful for us to fulfill the assessment with the high grade. So I think it's about supporting from lectures and time management skills.
Yeah.
And we've learned it so far. That's which of the part important skills for hospitality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kuwar, how did you find the experience?
Oh, I was horrible. I didn't think I would go through. I failed. First year I failed. Second year as well, I didn't fail the whole year, but I failed some subjects. And then I had to, I was like, oh, am I able to do it? I was like, okay, I have to do 5, I have to pass in 5 subjects to go on placement.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. So I passed in 5 subjects, and then in the second year I was failed in, the first year I failed in 1, the second year I failed in 3. So I did about 12 subjects in my last semester, just 4 from there. So yeah, I was not a bright student. So anyone who wants to come to ICHM, just pass. That's it, just pass. Yeah, so I'll be honest. But on my industry placements, I had a great learning experience, and I think I'm more of an operations person. So I think that came handy for me. And yeah, definitely not my grades. Annabelle can, approve of that.
Something that I think the students can attest, or the graduates can attest to, is that we have such a great learning support environment. So we know that we have a wide range of students. We have students who are quite academic. We also have students who are very operational. And it's important to us that we're supporting those students in succeeding throughout their studies. So we have a strong learning and support team who are able to meet with students to help with assignments, help with breaking down assignments and working out how to approach them, how to interpret them, how to understand what the lecturer is looking for. And then we also have welfare officer as well, so providing that support, because we all know as adults that if there's something else that's happening in our life outside of school or outside of work, it could be sometimes a bit distracting. So having a welfare officer is really important for our students to have someone that they can go and talk to about all sorts of different things. It might be about time management, it might be about stress management or anything like that. So that student support is really centric to everything that ICHM does. And we love having a wide range of students. Diversity is so important. And I think it's testament when you see a student who does perhaps struggle during their studies, and it's hard work for them, but then what they achieve at the end of it is amazing, and to see their achievements in operations is really incredible. Yeah. Kuwar, what are some of the highlights and perhaps lowlights that you experienced during your studies?
Highlights would be I met a couple of friends, made some friends, the industry placements, the friends that I made on my industry placements. So last year was the graduation ceremony, and the friends that I made on my placements came for my graduation because my family couldn't come from India because everything was closed. So this is the kind of relationships that you build during your placements. So I think those were the highlights. Lowlights, the previous campus, oh my God. This one is so much better. Now I can say because it's moved to the new campus. So so the new campus is really good. And failing.
Yeah. But you came out the other end.
Yeah.
And you're much stronger because of it.
Yeah. Well, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly.
So that would be my highlights.
Yes, thank you.
That's okay.
Yen, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah.
Some highlights from ICHM. What comes to mind?
What comes to mind?
Yeah.
I think the highlights. I think I really enjoy. I think it's got a very good kind of a very good blend of cultural. That from people coming from international, from different backgrounds, and just learning and understanding that. It definitely helps me building my business. On being remote, just kind of understanding where what's everyone's backgrounds, their culture, and just understanding and kind of working with different culture, because we're in a people industry, so having that space and the campus to do that, to learn that, which is really valuable, and actually like Katie say, got some really good friends from the campus, and we're still very in touch.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Low time, it's running around from classes to classes. I'm always probably a bit late here and there. But I enjoyed my time there. There's not really any low time or anything like that. It's good experience is good. Bad experience something you can learn from. So I always just take it that way, and that's how I run things. Yeah.
Thanks, Yen. Rachel, how has studying at ICHM helped you in your personal and career growth?
Ooh, that's a very big question. I believe ICHM give me a foundation to look at how hospitality industry needs and want from a new employee or a new hotelier, and also give me a broader hospitality industry, what it actually look like in different departments, even in human resources or marketing, brand management, and sustainability. So it's give me just strong foundation into that. Also, ICHM give me a lot of connections, which I believe back from people back time. Connections, networking is very important in this industry. It's not about sharing experience, but also just to share and become friends and help us in the company later on.
Yeah.
That's pretty much for me.
Yeah, thank you. I think the industry, absolutely, networking and connections and relationships is so important, and that starts from day one at ICHM. Yeah, there are so many different connections that happen, and I know that Yen has employed a number of ICHM graduates. So it's again that networking continues beyond the years of study here. It continues throughout the career and throughout career journeys. Yen, can you give us some insights into how the hospitality, hotel, tourism industry is currently tracking?
Yeah, I think the industry is tracking really well. I think people are moving a lot around, basically, probably, can say post-COVID time. Definitely people are actually willing, being stuck for 3 years in a house or in your area. People are bored. So yeah, we definitely see, we have probably September, October, we had a really good winter season as well. We're getting a lot of international back to Australia, which is good to see. And yeah, I think the industry is definitely growing, and we've definitely seen potential to grow. Same with our as a business, probably adding more rooms and things like that along the way in the next few years.
Thanks, Yen. I can absolutely attest to that as well. Brianna and I have a really tough job at the moment in trying to help industry as much as possible with providing them with students for placement, and within Adelaide market as well, providing them with casual employees in our students. It's a really exciting time. Industry is booming. We had 50 guests here last night from different industry partners around Adelaide, and they're all so excited about the future talent that are coming through. And I think all of the roles that these graduates are achieving is also a great example of what opportunities are out there at the moment, because the industry is booming so much. It's really exciting. Thank you. We'd like to open it up in case any of you have questions that you would like to ask these lovely people. If you don't, that's okay. But we thought it's a great opportunity while they're here. If there's anything that you're curious to know from a student's perspective, or perhaps people that you are talking with, prospective students that you're talking with, if there's things that they're asking you that you're not sure of, now might be a great chance.
Go for it. I just want to know the experience that you have with Kuwar, that when you moved to Melbourne for the internship, what about that relationship that your school helped you to find accommodation? Because I know they're applying for the job, but what about the other thing?
I think with accommodation, I did it myself. I never went to, I think, my industry placement for I need accommodation. I just think that once you come to Australia, you can plan things ahead. So at that point of time, I was able to secure a place in advance just for a week first, see if it aligns with my workplace. It definitely is a big task, because you're literally taking everything for 6-7 months, especially in Australia, for example. If you're in Adelaide, you've got to lease somewhere, and then for 6 months you're not here. So it's always the balance, but I did it on purpose as well, because I wanted to explore Australia. I wanted to be to new places, and at that time I remember ICHM really pushed that don't stay local, try to find placements in different parts of Australia, which is, I think, the best decision, and I would recommend all students, if they can. I know Adelaide right now really needs a lot of ICHM students, but if you get the opportunity, go to different places. I know it for 6 months. For the first month, it's a bit difficult, just finding a right place, finding if you're comfortable in your job, but I would definitely highly recommend going to different placement. But I'm sure they will help out if somebody needs for accommodation or that sort.
Yeah.
I didn't really need that kind of help.
So it's all part of the learning experience, and when students go on placement, when they go on their work integrated learning, it's not just about the job. It's also about all of those other life skills that come with it, and also about learning to be successful in a workplace, how to manage upwards, how to manage your own manager, all of those sorts of skills, as well as things like finding your own accommodation. But we definitely have resources available for students to give them ideas, because we understand that when a student first comes to Australia, well, what websites do you even look at to start that process? So we have resources that that students are able to use for that sort of purpose. We also have some industry partners like Hamilton Island, where Rachel went, that have staff accommodation available. So in those more remote locations, there is that staff accommodation. So for students who are perhaps a bit uncomfortable about going right out there like Kuwar did, but they do want to step out of their comfort zone, then somewhere like Hamilton Island is a great place, because the staff accommodation's already there. It's all part of that process. So there are a few different options. There are always, in all city locations, there are always student accommodation options as well, which is always something that students can fall back on. But great question. Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is to Kuwar again. You already mentioned about your journey of failing, which is not amusing. But let's talk about how you overcome it. What strategies have you undertaken? What have you done to actually pass a 12th subject in the second semester? I'm really interested to know your journey, academic journey actually.
I can make it fancy, but to be honest, I was like, oh, I can't pay for the subjects
It's
again
a good
and
motivator,
again.
isn't it?
So it's about $4,000 per subject. Do the math. But at the same time, I was like, what was my main purpose to come to Australia was to study. So somewhere along the lines, I got distracted, and so. In the first year, it was fine. One subject, it's okay. In the second year, it was a big fallback for me. I was like, okay, I failed 3 subjects now. But then when I went to industry again in my second placement, that was my biggest motivator, because at that point of time, my managers were so supportive, and they said they made sure that they made me believe that I belong here. So during my last placement, lucky unlucky, COVID happened. So I literally couldn't work anywhere else. I was sitting at home. So I was like, I might as well do my assessments and, study. So that way I was able to pass all my subjects, thank God.
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, thank COVID. So, there's always positives, and there's always a silver lining. So COVID had a silver lining. At first I was really disappointed because I couldn't go on my placement for third year. I really wanted to go to Sydney. But then the silver lining was I passed, so can't complain.
And you're part of a pre-opening team.
Oh yes,
Like
I was a part of a pre-opening team.
Yeah.
That's a big learning curve, because I think once you're part of a pre-opening team for anything, for a restaurant, hotel, you would be the one who knows all the ins and outs, because literally you're trying to figure out as you go. So I think that's something that if you get an opportunity, pre-opening is a great learning curve. Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, pre-opening is about when a hotel is going to open for the first time. They recruit a team that are part of the that are the pre-opening team, and they're responsible for setting the whole hotel up. So they're responsible for putting in place standard operating procedures. How are we going to serve guests? How are we going to set up the restaurant? What kinds of tables are we going to have? What kinds of chairs are we going to have? And then I can imagine Kuwar would have been involved in unpacking boxes of glasses and polishing them, and taking 300 TVs up to each of the different rooms, and kettles and all sorts of different things. So it's all part of it's being part of the team that gets the hotel to the stage where it can actually open its doors and have guests come. And that it will be successful. So
that actually you can put in the CV.
Oh, it's amazing. And to achieve that sort of role, like being part of a pre-opening team as a fresh graduate, like you went from studying
Yeah.
year 3 subjects
Yeah.
to going into the pre-opening team is really, really amazing to be part of that. And not everyone in the industry will have that experience. So it's definitely something that's really great that you've achieved that.
Yeah, with the pre-opening, I think one thing to add is you basically work everywhere. So it's just not that if you're part of a front office concierge or GSA, you're not necessarily just doing that. You're not doing SOPs for that. You're probably in the F&B, housekeeping. So it's a really nice cross-learning as well. So if you want to know all about hotels, I think pre-opening is something very nice.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much to our graduates and to Rachel, our current student, for coming along and for being part of this Q&A. If you've got more questions, we'll be around after this. But please come up and have a chat. But I hope that was valuable. Yeah, got lots of nods and smiles, so that's great. So thank you guys.